All Saints Infants in Normanton near Wakefield has a large team of teaching assistants working across the school in every area of the curriculum. While things have definitely changed in the playground since their support staff team leader, HLTA Judith Walker, first came to the school as a pupil, some things, like learning to read, have stayed the same.
Could you just tell me, do you know that one?
About.
Super, well done. Would you know that one, Thomas? That's absolutely brilliant, well done. Do we know that one? Asked. That's absolutely super.
If you keep going on the way and work hard.
Do you know what I think you could be? If I go back to my own childhood, probably, I think things were done very differently then. You were aware then that you had a set of rules to follow and you were told exactly what to do. But I think it helps if we involve them in their own decision making, so that then when they actually do achieve this and they feel that they've achieved it, then they really, can move on to something else because they know that it's within their capabilities. That's beautiful.
Judith recently discovered coaching on a local authority course for HLTAs and has found it useful in her work with children.
You'll have all heard the word coaching, I know that, won't you?
Today she has invited Tony Swainston to give some of the other TAs at All Saints an idea of how coaching techniques might help them in their work with pupils.
Coaching, it's non-directive. Now, what I mean by that is when you are the person that's coaching somebody, you don't give them any direction. Now that's kind of unusual, would you agree, in terms of school, because often we're either giving children a lot of direction or we provide them with information. Coaching's not about giving people advice, so it's not directive. It is about arriving at a solution, so they need to know what they're going for. And what you're doing is supporting them to move towards that solution.
Can you just tell me what you might say to yourself every time you do a full stop?
I can do it.
You can do it, goodbye. And what is it that you can do, Tom?
That I can always remember to do capital letters.
Goodbye. This morning I was helping Oliver and Tom because it happened to be our target writing morning, which meant that we specifically help children with any problems that they have with their writing. Instead of just telling the boys what needed to be done, I tried to find out what their problems were, what their goals were, try and find out how they thought they could approach it.
We use this fantastic model in coaching, which is called the GROW model. And what do you think the G stands for? The goal, brilliant, well done. The R stands for what's the situation like at the moment? In other words, what's the current reality? The O stands for the options. What are the things that people are going to try? And as the coach, you don't give any of those to the person. They come up with the options. And then the final bit of it is the W, which is, people refer to this as the why or the what next, or which of the things are you going to try.
And what about you, Oliver?
I forget my finger spaces because she always tells me to stop and think about my finger spaces, and I always do it because it is so fun remembering your finger spaces and remember your capital letters and your full stops.
Listening and coaching is such an important thing, to really give your full attention to people when they're talking.
And what am I going to do? Who's going to pick her up?
Right, we've got another 10 seconds to go, folks. Just 10 seconds.
It was unbelievable. It was so sunny and warm. Anyway, we went from the airport. It took us about an hour and a half to get to the hotel.
Okay, folks, we'll stop there. How did it feel from the point of view of the person who was speaking?
I found it hard to keep talking because I knew she wasn't interested in what I was saying.
Right, did everybody else feel that?
Yeah.
You just kind of run dry?
I don't remember what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was talking about.
No, that's
anyway.
right.
It's like, what's she looking out of the window that's more important than me?
Frustrating.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell her. Really cross with me. But I knew it was pretend, obviously. But I was still, and she kept asking me questions, so I'm like, answering and then going back to what I was talking about. And she was fiddling with my badge, and I'm like, get off.
Absolutely. Can you see the importance of listening?
Yeah.
I know you already know it, but it demonstrates it brilliantly, doesn't it?
So do you think then, Oliver, that your problem is that all of your words run into one and you forget to stop one word and leave a little bit of space before you get to the next word? And is that the problem that you have
Yeah.
then? If children can learn to understand and learn through their own ways, then I think that helps them rather than us, just giving them a list of things that have to be done. If they find the right approach and the right way of learning for themselves, then I believe that, they've cracked it really.
Brilliant. Bend one knee up towards your chest. Bend your other knee. Push up with your right hand and put your left hand next to your right hand. Bring it backwards.
The person who was the alien lying on the floor, how did you feel?
I felt silly.
You felt silly? Okay.
And I felt like me and Cherise got different body shapes. And perhaps Cherie could get up from that position and I can't.
What a brilliant thought that is, because if we give the other person instructions, we're seeing it from our point of view, aren't we? The great thing about coaching is you getting from the other person what their goal is, but ultimately the way that they want to approach that goal themselves.
Boys, let's have a little bit of a think then. What do you think we could do? What do you think, Tom, that you could possibly do to try and make that easier for you then?
Put capital letters at the start of every sentence.
Good boy. And what about you, Oliver?
I'm off to do finger spaces and full stops.
Brilliant. Well done.
Wakefield Education Authority values coaching as a technique and has run several inset sessions for teachers and TAs. At St Wilfrid's, a large secondary school in nearby Pontefract, HLTA Ashley Hunter uses her coaching skills as part of her work in the inclusion department.
So let's read what these statements say. The first one says, I always use capital letters and full stops, and I am confident that I always use it.
This Year 7 group have been withdrawn from modern languages to help develop their literacy. Ashley uses coaching techniques with the whole group to help them reflect on their goals in English and literacy and the reality of where they are.
So have a think about which one you think applies to you. All right? Because what we need to realise, guys, is in order for us to become better at using these things, we need to realise how good we are or where there's an area for improvement.
Sometimes the students don't have an awareness of their reading ability, or maybe it is that nobody's ever sat down with them and reflected what areas they need to improve. We sometimes take that as a given that we expect them to know where they are and that they should know what they want to do or what they should be doing.
So what's our long-term goal in this class? Why are we here? What are we wanting to do, Anu?
Improve what we do.
Yeah, improve what we do in terms of, Owen?
English, really.
English?
Writing.
Writing, what else? Amy?
Learn more about English.
Learn more about English. Josie?
To do more capital letters.
Yeah.
One of the first things that we do very early on in the year, and we come back to that at certain points throughout the year, is get them to keep updating these goals and ticking them off when they meet them. And we can help each other as a class to meet those goals. So I think it is possible to incorporate it into a whole class teaching, because the students can help each other to meet their own goals.
Full stops give us a chance to have a break, don't they? If we were to read something and it had no punctuation, it wouldn't make any sense. So by having a full stop, we get to have a break. Yes, Owen?
A full stop lets us have a breath, because if it didn't have any full stops, you'd just go, and you'd run out of breath.
It would, and we wouldn't be able to understand anything that we were reading because we'd be reading it so fast.
LSAs maybe have more of the ability, I guess, to deliver effective coaching one-on-one, because they have the work with students in a much more close relationship as opposed to a teacher with 30 children in the class. So it's definitely a tool that I would suggest and advise that let the LSAs use, because it's much more effective for them to do that one-on-one.
So you've drawn me a picture here, Liam, haven't you, about your experiences recently at school.
Yeah.
And we've started off up here, haven't we, in year 6? And what's going on there then? What are your memories of that?
No memories.
No memories?
No.
Have you got a happy face or a sad face?
Sad face, I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
With Liam, we use the picture to help him sort of have a physical diagram, because he can see better and understand better if he sees it as sort of an external thing, as if it was somebody else. So a physical diagram sort of helped him to recognise where he was, where we are and where we're going.
And where are we now? What's this part of the picture?
Me in year 8.
You in year 8, so that's you now,
Yeah.
isn't it? And you look, how do you look there?
Happy?
You're happy, so is that how you're feeling at the minute?
Yeah.
And we've got a picture of a reading book, so what does that?
Read more.
You've been reading more?
Yeah, good at reading.
You're good at reading, so does that mean that that's made you a bit happier or sadder?
Happy?
Happy. When he came to us, his reading age was that of a 4-year-old, so there wasn't any ability there. And now we're looking at 7, 8 years old, so he's made some improvement because I think his attitudes have changed. So his attitudes towards learning have changed, which has meant that he's allowed himself the opportunity to become a good reader. And why have we got a black cloud here?
That's bad. Maths.
In maths. And what happens in maths?
Works too hard.
The work's too hard. He actually believes he can't do maths. Me telling him that he can wouldn't have any effect. So what, by coaching, you're encouraging them to think about why they think that for themselves as opposed to somebody else telling them. So in maths, we've been having a bit of a rough time, could we say?
Yeah.
So how, if you were to describe maths as one word, how would you describe it?
Rubbish.
Rubbish. What things happen in lessons when you're working at the minute? What's some of the things that you might do in an everyday lesson in maths? Give us an example of what.
Stop working.
Stop working. What else do we do when we're struggling?
Just talk to other people.
Talking to other people, yeah. What else happens?
Be gobby to miss.
Right, so sometimes we do things, because we're struggling,
Yeah.
we start doing things that we might not meant to be doing. You've got to really know the students that you're coaching. You've got to have an element of trust, and they've got to be able to trust you in order so that you can read them, really, because you've got to know when you've touched on something which is a direction that you can go in. How do you feel when you get into trouble?
Sad.
You feel sad.
Yeah.
And when we feel sad, what types of things do we sometimes do? Because you come down here, don't you, when you feel sad?
Yeah.
What's some of the things that you sometimes do when you're feeling sad?
Walk out of class sometimes.
Right, so you're trying to walk away from it,
Yeah.
but we've got to try and work out what we're going to do to fix it, because we can't keep walking away from it, can we?
No.
Do you agree that this is something that we can fix then?
Yeah.
This is a sortable problem?
Yeah.
I think so too. How long do you think is a realistic time for us to say this is when we want maths to be fixed by? When are we going to start seeing some changes?
None.
Never?
No.
When could we set a date? Shall we say a week or 2 weeks?
Yeah. Week.
A week. So in a week, are we going to hope to start seeing us moving towards having better maths lessons?
Yeah.
And we're going to measure that by you having a bigger smile on your face?
Yeah.
Because that'll show us that you're enjoying it a bit more.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do from here then, I'm going to go speak to Miss Smith, but what am I going to ask, what do you think you can do in the meantime in your lesson?
But try on my work.
Yeah. Do you think that you could speak to Miss Smith?
Yeah.
What do you think you could say?
Work too hard.
All right, and then we could talk about having about that made a bit easier for you.
Yeah.
And then would that make you happier?
Yeah.
So then that should make everybody happier. Do we think?
Yeah.
Brilliant.